Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight. If you're coming in, please come on in, grab a seat. There's lots of space. I'm sorry that you can't see us too well. We're actually filming tonight. We needed the stage a little bit darker so that we could capture the images on the screen up here for you. We're going to put that up on the website. There'll also be who's also one of our APs here this year, and she'll be over Advanced Academics at Rock Hill. And Seth Rutledge, who is our coordinator for Advanced Academics at the district office. We're pleased to have you with us tonight for our Advanced Academics presentation, give you a little bit of ideas, some thoughts to chew on as you help your children and students as you select your courses for next year, especially those 8th graders who are incoming to Prosper High School or Rock Hill next year.
As y'all start navigating the course selection process and think about what academic challenges your students are going to take at this next level, we wanted to share with you our mission here for the Advanced Academics Department. It's to academically challenge students and help them develop a healthy and balanced lifestyle. There are going to be a lot more choices for your student as they transition up to high school, both in the academic realm, but also in the extracurricular realm. All of that contributes to their high school career, and all of that helps make them a well-rounded person. The type of student that we're looking for here in Prosper ISD, the type of student we're developing rather here in Prosper ISD, is seen very clearly in our graduate profile. And this is the bedrock of our advanced academics approach to helping develop those students.
As you and your student begin to think about what course selection you want for your academics next year, there are some questions that we'd like you to consider. First of all, does my student need extra academic challenge? And this could be in one of their core subjects or in one of their elective courses as they get higher up into the high school years. Do they need a few academic challenges, or are there many areas in which your student feels that they need to be academically challenged? And a great way to decide the answer to these questions is to have you and your child reach out to their middle school teachers. How is their progress currently? It can be boredom, but it can be also just rigor. If you feel like the student is not being pushed or challenged enough, if you have interest outside of the class, does your child like to read or research outside of what the class already has as a part of the course? Also, does your child participate in extracurricular activities? This could include a job as well. So are we involved in school activities or outside of school activities, community activities? Because the time that your student takes outside of the school day will affect their ability to focus on that rigor in the classroom. And of course, as a part of our mission statement, a question that certainly needs to be looked at and focused on when making these decisions is, how do we find balance for my student? Because we want to promote a healthy social, emotional, and academic lifestyle for all of our students here in Prosper ISD. And that's important for you guys to consider. What can I do to challenge my student while still allowing them to have that balance both in and out of school?
Once again, if you're just coming in the back, don't be bashful. Please come on down. There's lots of seats, especially down front. Make yourself comfortable. We're just getting started. You heard my colleague reference the word challenge and the word balance and the word healthy. Those came up a lot. That's something I really, really want to stress for you as you think about course selection, not just this year, but in the future. I like to think of it as a twofold thing. We want your child in advanced academics, those students who are capable of taking on advanced courses, we want them to be challenged, but we also want them to be healthy. Many times we see students that are overtasked, not just with schoolwork, but with extracurricular activities, family obligations, and the combination of all of these things weighing them down. And it does lead to some problems, some of which are very, very serious, as you can probably imagine. So to help you avoid that, we want to help you make good choices up front about the courses that you're taking. There's two audiences that we are speaking to tonight, two target groups that we want to bring in and embrace in our advanced academics program. The first group are students who have traditionally taken higher level courses. You may have taken all pre-AP classes all through middle school, you're ready to rock and roll in high school, and you're moving straight in that direction. The other audience that I'm talking to tonight are students who may have never taken an advanced academics class. They've never taken a pre-AP class. And maybe you're doing well in your pre-AP class, or excuse me, in your on-level classes, and nobody's ever challenged you to step up to the next level. I don't want any student to leave our high school, and I know Melissa feels the same way about Rock Hill. We don't want a student to leave, to graduate from Prosper ISD without having been academically challenged. If you're working at your potential, great, but if you've got more to give, we want you to take that and run with it, and we're here to support you. So, a little bit of nomenclature, some words that are changing. You're no longer going to see the words. Actually, go back a slide if you would, please. You're no longer going to see the words pre-AP. The reasons for this are pretty simple. The College Board, the company that administers the AP exams, the AP program, and the SAT program, amongst other things, has essentially trademarked that word. And in order for us to call things pre-AP, we need to set up certain financial obligations with the College Board that we and most of the districts around us here in North Texas are not doing, because we feel like that ties our hands when it comes to serving your children and offering them the best, most in-depth, enriching curriculum that we can. And so we are honoring their trademark and changing the names of our courses. We're going to see this at the middle school level. We're going to see it at the high school level. Pre-AP is now honors. So what does that mean? Well, it's really pretty straightforward. In an honors class, you're going to cover the same curriculum, the same teaks, if you will, that students in the on-level courses are going to cover. But you're going to go to greater depth. You're going to do it faster. You're going to have greater expectations for the work that you produce and the way that your teachers grade the work that's produced. And all of this is done to try to promote more academic rigor and more challenge, more stimulation for our students in these class levels.
So for some of you who've never taken an advanced course before, some of the things that you might want to know are, what is the major difference between an on-level or an advanced course? And so this is a simple breakdown of what you might expect in an honors or an AP course at the high school level. First of all, you have a more complex reading. There might be more independent reading that's done outside of class, and it's going to go more in depth than the teaks that are covered in an on-level classroom. You're also going to have more complex writing. We want to incorporate those higher level thinking skills, more of that inferencing, a hypothesis, and we're going to have the students do that through their writing skills as well. More independent work. This does not mean more work necessarily, it just means that the expectation is that through student discovery, not just teacher-led. And so your student is going to be the point of contact on what is this information in the research and in the finding. Student expectation. Greater intellectual depth. Less of that remember and understand, and more of that analyze and evaluate and synthesize. We want to push those students up to the higher levels of thinking and really get them ready for that post-secondary goals that they have and that you have for your student. Obviously, your students are going to want to know what the workload expectation is, and it is higher in a higher rigor class. 30 minutes to 1 hour of homework per class meeting. So if you have an honors class or an AP class on an A day, and that class meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday of that week, then you can expect 30 minutes to 1 hour of coursework per class meeting per course that the student is taking. And that's really important to think about, as I talked about in our previous slide of the word balance. Knowing and anticipating in advance that this might be the expectation of the course so that you can plan ahead and be able to maintain that balance in your school workload as well as in your personal life.
So just to walk you through here a little bit more concrete of an example, we've got the expectations for an on-level English class and then the corresponding expectations for an AP English class so that you can see some of the differences. Like Ms. Wise said, there's deeper analysis at and above grade level happening in an AP English class in comparison to an on-level. There is more independent reading involved in an AP course, and there's a good bit more discussion as well. Reading and writing is both wide and deep and aligned not just with our state standards, but also with the most common college standards for that course. And then there's an emphasis on academic writing as opposed to purely analytical writing. So really what you can see here in this English example is that your students in an on-level class are going to be well prepared. And that AP class is going to take them to a little bit higher, more collegiate style standards and expectations, both in terms of the curriculum itself and the instructional resources, the novels, the stories, the topics that occur.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about general advanced academics versus our on-level academics program. And we talked about honors courses. Most of you, again, are familiar with that, probably through the pre-AP program that your children may have been experienced with in middle school. I want to talk specifically about AP courses, which are kind of the capstone of our academic program here at Prosper High School. Now, there are AP classes, full AP classes, available to freshmen. Specifically, the AP Human Geography program is very, very popular as an elective option for the geography credit. So what are AP courses, if you're not familiar with the nomenclature? Simply put, they are college standards and college curriculum, which is put together from an umbrella organization called the College Board. I'm not going to bore you with the details about that organization, except to say that they're simply a company that runs the worldwide AP program. They are of college level depth and complexity. This means your students are going to be doing college level coursework in the high school classroom when they take an AP course. And finally, at the end of the course in an AP class, there's a national exam. It's actually a worldwide exam that leads to the potential for college credit. Now, a couple of key words here, potential being one of them. When you take your AP exam at the end of the course, first of all, you have to pay for it, and it's a financial commitment of approximately $100 per class. It's slightly less than that right now, but the price goes up as time goes on. At least that's the way it seems like. Pardon me. So there is a bit of a financial commitment in that realm. If your student earns a qualifying score on their AP exams, typically they're graded on a 5-point scale, so the qualifying score would be a 3, 4, or 5, which varies from college to college and university to university, what they will accept for that college credit in that specific subject. Your child may get college credit in that subject area that they can use, which saves you a lot of money in tuition dollars down the road. Ms. Cooper, if you'd advance, please. Now, some things to consider when we talk about our advanced placement courses, things you need to know. These are college level classes taught by high school teachers, which are under the umbrella of our high school grading policy. I make this distinction because in just a moment, I'm going to give you the very briefest of overviews about our dual credit program, which you may have seen the email messages. We have an introductory information meeting for dual credit programs on January 29th, I believe. Typically, that program is restricted to juniors and seniors, so if we have a lot of freshmen and incoming freshmen audience in here, that's not something you need to worry about right away. But the distinction is going to be that our AP courses are taught by Prosper High School faculty. They are taught with a College Board approved syllabus that matches the appropriate standards for that course that are agreed upon by a large group of colleges and universities that subscribe to the College Board's philosophy. We will use our high school grading guidelines and grading practices in these courses. Parent communication will flow from the teacher to the parents. That's something that doesn't happen in our dual credit courses. And finally, as I said earlier, your AP exam at the end of the course will determine whether or not you get credit. These are year-long courses, and credit is determined like any other high school class towards your diploma. If you'd advance, please, Mrs. Cooper. So in our dual credit courses, these are taught by college faculty. Now, some of those faculty are actually also Prosper High School teachers, but in their dual credit courses, they have to act like college faculty, which comes with a lot of responsibilities. One of those big differences is that they're not going to communicate with you parents. They cannot. They are actually forbidden from communicating directly, in most cases, with parents. So that's a big difference in those courses. That curriculum will align with college standards. Typically, those professors have academic freedom. They have to only satisfy the standards of the department under which they're teaching at the college, in this case, Collin College, and they utilize college grading practices. In those classes, simply passing the class will earn you credits, and those credit are given on a semester basis. Now, the reason I make this distinction tonight, even though our presentation tonight focuses on the honors program and the AP program, is because many of you, when you turn into junior and senior year, you're going to be making the choice between, do I want to do an AP class or do I want to do a functionally equivalent, theoretically, college class through Collin College? At that time, you're going to have to make that choice. So we're kind of laying out what some of your options are and just some things to build your knowledge base so you know what to expect for the future.
So as you're having your conversations about which courses to take, as you're sitting down with your student to plan kind of their path over the next 4 years, there are some things that we'd really like for some conversations that would be useful for you to have. The first is, does the advanced course align with the student's goals and aspirations? Your student may not have a solid understanding of exactly what they want to be when they grow up, right? Some of us are still working on that. But if they have an inkling of what they want to focus on or an area that they're strong in that they'd like to further develop, then you want to take a look at courses within those strengths that can challenge them even further, so that they can help develop those strengths to the level that when they get into the college realm, they're able to really pursue that passion and have the requisite skills to succeed. Additionally, you want to think about the extracurricular obligations that your student has. A lot of these are very, your extracurricular obligations can take up a good bit of time, but they also tend to be, again, that area where your student's passion is. We want to make sure that as they're adding those academic challenges to their plates, that they're also able to explore their passions in the extracurricular realm. Really sitting down with students as they start to look at the obligations of their coursework and planning out what that can look like in the course of a given week, when they're going to have natural time to spend on their coursework. It may be that Wednesdays are days that are a lull for you at home. Having those conversations with them and helping them understand the choices that they need to make and the plans that they need to make to be proactive can make sure that they can keep up with all of their obligations. And that's a skill that they're going to have to master before they get to college, and certainly once they get into the real world, right? And the final question, the final discussion point is, does the number of advanced courses under consideration allow time for the student to have a life outside of academics? They're teenagers. There are a lot of things that they're going to be drawn to in the academic realm. There are a lot of things they're going to be drawn to in the extracurricular realm, but they're also still students. They're also still kids. And so you want to make sure that you're having the conversations with them about what their choices are going to do to their available time. There's only so much time, and time management is an area that students, as they transition into high school, often struggle with. They've never had as many time commitments as they will once they get into high school. So it can be a little bit of a tricky situation. You know better than anyone what your student's capable of and what they can manage and what they cannot. So we just highly encourage you to have conversations around these areas, real conversations about the natural pushes and pulls that they're going to have in terms of their time and in terms of pursuing their passions. You go to the next slide, please. So really, what we would like to leave you with is just this question right here. What does challenged, balanced, and healthy look like for my student? When you send them to us, we're going to do our level best here in Prosper ISD to develop them into strong, intelligent, critical thinkers. But we also want to make sure that as we're taking care of that they are healthy in all realms. Academic challenge is important. We strongly believe that every student here at Prosper ISD deserves an excellent education. And part of an excellent education is a challenge, but we want to do that within parameters that are still going to be healthy for your student. We will be outside here in just a few moments to answer any questions that you may have one-on-one. You can find us in the hallway just outside of the auditorium. Thank you all for coming in and talking to us tonight. If you're able to catch us, wonderful. If not, can you go to the next slide, please, Christine? You can email any of us at these email addresses here. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for coming, guys. I'd like to invite you all to stay behind. We have our counselors presenting next. They're doing 2 back-to-back sessions, so if you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to come back for the 7 o'clock session, our counselors will be presenting course selection information that is specific for incoming freshmen next year. Thank you guys for coming.